One of the most underrated, underappreciated parts of last night, it was over an hour into the State of the Union. But it was when Erika Kirk got mentioned and got a standing ovation from at least half of Congress after President Trump brought up, of course, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And there's a lot that you can weave into that conversation that I think is worth talking about right now. Given the fact that the president, I know it didn't get any attention this week in the national news media, but the president is all of 3 days removed from what appears to be another assassination attempt against him. 21-year-old guy shows up at Mar-a-Lago early on Sunday morning, gets shot and killed by the Secret Service after he shows up with a shotgun. And it's like, nothing to see here. Yep, just like the third assassination attempt against this guy in the last 18 months. But hey, who's counting, right? Oh, well, it's Trump. Charlie Kirk, just a few months removed from getting assassinated in front of the entire world, while literally doing the thing that we want people to do more of. And that is just talk to each other. And in fact, seek out conversation with those you disagree with. That's what Charlie did. And that's what he lost his life doing. And then last night, the President of the United States introduced Erika Kirk and said this.
I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both the first 4 years and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal. This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erika, is with us tonight. Erika, please stand.
That was last night. It was an hour plus into the State of the Union. But it was important. It mattered. I think it got massively overlooked and will get overlooked because I get it. It's not about policy. But policy is downstream of culture. If you lose the culture, you're going to lose the policy. The policy almost doesn't matter. And for too long, the Republicans gave up on the culture. They gave up on the schools. They gave up on church. They gave it up. They said, well, as long as we get lower tax rates, it's all going to be okay. No, it's not. And look what's happened, by and large, over the last generation plus. If you win back the culture, the policy will fall into place. And Republicans screwed that up over the last 30 plus years. And I think they've woken up to it. And while Trump, like all of us, Trump's a sinner, and people like to, point that, this is the guy that's going to bring back the culture and try to, infuse God back into our culture. Okay, you know what? He's being used in that role. Doesn't mean he's perfect. None of us are. But you know what? He's using his bully pulpit effectively on that front, and he's lifting up people like the late Charlie Kirk and now his wife, Erika. And those are great things. That's what we need more of. And I didn't know she was there. I don't know if that was well known. I had no idea she was going to be there and get a shout out, but she did. And I was like, you know what? That's fantastic. And in the wake of Trump potentially having another assassination attempt against him at a time when we've seen way too much political violence over the last, year and a half to 2 years, reminding us what it's really about. Reminding us that faith obviously plays an incredibly important role in this country and should play an incredibly important role in this country. And you know what? Political violence is not the way. And Charlie's mission was to change hearts and minds and find and seek out people who disagreed with him. And yesterday, I was at Heritage Christian Academy down in South Olathe. And I was there because I got asked by a group of students to come in and talk to him and whatnot. And I was happy to do that. And there were about, 50 kids or so who were part of the Young Americans for Freedom chapter down there at Heritage Christian. And obviously they were like-minded. I wasn't talking to people who, by and large, disagreed with me. But there were certainly various opinions across the political spectrum. And that was good to hear. You know, some obviously love Trump, some not as fans of Trump. But, you know, they all obviously came at it from a similar viewpoint. And we had a great conversation. These kids are 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And they're engaged, they're into it, they care. And I came out of that yesterday as optimistic as I possibly could about this next generation. It's easy to look at walkouts at Olathe Northwest and be like, we're screwed. And there's no doubt there is some of that. There are major problems. And I know that you've got public versus private, and that conversations can certainly be one that we discuss. But in that moment, in the micro, in that moment, I was like, man, we've got great kids. And by the way, kids who were there, male, female, 50-50, white, black, Latino. There was a mix of kids in this meeting yesterday, and they all are there for the same reasons. They love America. They want to see this country succeed, and they care about freedom. And they love God. That's why they're all there, and that's what we were all there to discuss. And it gave me, you know, as someone who does this every single day, and sometimes we're all guilty of being in our little bubble, it gave me great joy. I had a little pep in my step coming out of there. Those kids did as much for me as maybe I did for them. And I don't know. I mean, you know, they did Q&A. We did about 25 minutes. It was between classes. So I heard the bell go off. They all come in. And then the next bell goes off at like 12:15 or whatever. And they got all scoot to class. So maybe I gave them something yesterday. But they gave me a lot. They gave me optimism. They had me fired up for that next generation. These kids cared. They were engaged. And they were thrilled to be there. And as was I as well. It was fantastic. And then seeing Erika Kirk last night and thinking about Charlie just kind of made it all come full circle for me, and think about all the benefits and positives and great things that we have going for us right now in the country, despite people wanting to just on a nonstop basis tell us how terrible everything is.